does the Clubsport drive so well that your average driver driving on the road wouldn't need an Edition 50 with all the extra expense. Hello and welcome back to the Volkswizard channel. Now, some of you may know I ran a Mark 8 Golf GTI Clubsport for 18 months and 15,000 miles. And whilst we had our ups and downs, overall it was a great car, whether commuting or driving on track. So when the 8.5 Clubsport was announced in late 2024, naturally I was keen to see what, if any, improvements had been made. My first driving one was a brief one at the UK launch event when I actually pitted this very Clubsport against a Mark 8.5 Golf R for a head-to-head video that's proven very popular. If you've watched that one, big thanks. If you haven't already, there's a link in the description of this video. But because UK orders for the Edition 50 are about to open and that car is heavily based on the Clubsport, I thought now would be a good time to get to know the 8.5 Clubsport a little bit better. Because basically, if you're not going to like the Clubsport, you're definitely not going to like the Edition 50, particularly with its, I'm guessing, very expensive price tag. So today's video is the usual Volkswizard review format with a walk around the outside, the inside. But we're going for a very special drive today, a drive on which the GTI really needs to excel. But before all that, let's talk about the thorny subject of the Clubsport's price. Now, whenever I mention price of a modern performance Golf in a video, there's always lots of comments about how incredibly expensive they are. I can't believe a Golf is £50,000. Well, believe this one has a list price of £51,165, and it doesn't even have leather or a sunroof. But the key point is that these are fictional prices from Volkswagen UK. I don't think anybody ever pays that. Back in the day, 10% off was pretty reasonable. How does 16.7% off this car sound? So instead of 51 grand, you could have this car as spec brand new for 42,624. Now that's the price that Drive the Dealer are quoting on their website. I'm not sponsored by them because actually I'd rather you took that price to a dealer and they gave you that price without entertaining a middleman, because they'd keep more of that money rather than pass it on to the intermediary. So to me, that sounds pretty good. My benchmark in my head is when I bought my Clubsport brand new with no options in 2021, 32 grand, it had a list of 37.5 grand. Allowing for inflation and the spec of this car, I think we're getting on for that level of discount, which is, I've got to say, enticing. Anyway, base price of a Clubsport that nobody will ever pay, 44,220. That's gone up 7 grand since the model came out in 2021. This one's got £6,945 worth of options, some of which I don't think you need. King's Red, £990. Got to say, it's a pretty colour. So maybe actually that's worth it. It's a premium metallic, I think, along with Oryx White, and it does lift the car. But there are some really nice colours in the range with 8.5, so maybe you want something else like Crystal Meth Blue. This car has got the Performance Pack with Varmanau wheels, 3,900. There are some cheaper versions of the Performance Pack, about 3.5 grand if you have the Estorils. But really, those wheels are, I think, under £1,000, so you're paying a lot of money just to have the Akrapovic and to have the speed limiter raised. And by my ears, the Akrapovic does not sound any different to the standard exhaust. Noise regulations have clamped down on Akrapovic as much as the factory system, and it is not worth it. The spec I would go for, spec the wheels, spec DCC separately. You've got a better performance pack with DCC and the wheels, because the DCC influences the drive much more than the exhaust. So DCC on this car, £755. It has got both. And then we've got area view, 3D parking camera, 345. You should get that. Harman Kardon, 630. Sounds good. Looks great in the cabin as well. And we've got some additional airbags that give you something to stop the driver and passenger hitting each other in a crash. That's 325 quid. So yeah, total of £51,165. Just worth mentioning quickly the base GTI, which in my opinion is a very good car. It's about 2.5 grand cheaper than the Clubsport. It's got enough performance. This really is a bit of a handful in the cold, as I'll show you later. So yeah, worth thinking about that. And discounts on the base GTI are probably at least as good. The only problem is every single GTI now encounters luxury car tax, which means you're paying an extra 3 grand in road tax over the first, well, for 5 years from the second time that the car is taxed, which is a bitter pill to swallow, particularly because everything else has gone up due to inflation, apart from the threshold where luxury car tax kicks in. Thanks, guys. Okay, now let's have a closer look around the outside of this 2025 8.5 Club Sport. So compared to the Mark 8, big differences. We've got a lot of gloss black. We've lost the grey plastic that gets greyer as it gets older in the bumper and on the sills. This was originally reserved only for the Golf R in the 8 generation. There have been lots of positive comments about this car. The broader range of colours than in the Golf R range as well is important. So this is King's Red. It's nearly £1,000 extra, but it does make the car look very expensive, and with a Mark 8, 8.5 even, that can be a tricky act to pull off. We've got the slimmer headlights as well. This, for me, is the best design change. We haven't got the black pack, which you don't really want on a GTI because you lose the red. So we've got the red stripe, which is still visible because it's actually Tornado Red, not King's Red. The radar's back. We haven't had that since the Mark 7. Not sure why. Maybe it works better down there. The radiators are pretty exposed though, so I expect a few to get damaged by stones, but I guess that's just the way it is if you want the cooling modern cars need. Down the side then we've got the arch extenders, which are a bit rudimentary, but they're because the car came with 19-inch wheels from the factory. We've got the Warmenau wheels then. So Warmenau, when I first googled it, it was a place where Volkswagen's IT department were based, but it turns out to be where our GmbH are based, and I actually visited there when I was at Wolfsburg for FanFest. Got the R logo on them, which might seem a bit strange on a GTI, but it's not so much a model, but a brand, if that makes sense. We've got the big two-piece brake discs, so these are much beefier than the ones on the Mark 7 Performance Pack. They're 2 piston calipers instead of 1. They're 2-piece discs, just like the Clubsport S ones, but they're bigger. I've got these on my Clubsport S now, and oh my god, they're amazing on such a light car. They're really good on this. Good on the road, good on the track. The Warmenau wheels are available in this diamond cut finish with a grey. They're a bit dirty now, but this is actually graphite. And then if you have them plain black, they're not diamond cut. You can also have Estorils in black or diamond cut. And you can also have the Queenstown wheel, which a lot of people say is like an Alfa Romeo wheel, but actually it was inspired by the Monza wheel that we had on the Mark 5. There was a black version of that called the Detroit, which we didn't get in the UK market. Very controversially, the dagger badges have gone and we've got the GTI logo on the door. That's been a thing now for a couple of years, and I'm slowly getting used to it, particularly on this red car, but I'm kind of pleased that the Edition 50 does not seem to have them. We have got the decal from the Mark 8 on the bottom of the doors. It does look a little bit clumsy, and I think with my next Clubsport, if I buy one, I'll probably be taking that off. This looks like a bit of an afterthought, particularly it doesn't continue into the back door. I've said this before, this car was originally going to be called Cup, and I'm so sure the word Cup was going to be on the back door and they just didn't bother putting it on, but I could be wrong. And we've got puddle lights which do beam the GTI logo onto the ground with some freckles around it. Somebody said they thought it was like the golf ball gear knob. I don't know, actually. At the back, we have got vented discs, not drilled, and relatively normal calipers. Now, the back of the 8.5 doesn't look that different, but if you look at the details, you'll see it does look a lot more interesting. Let's get the Akrapovic out of the way then. So this is part of the Performance Pack, quite an expensive option. I wouldn't like it. I would like the standard tips in black, which I don't think you can have on the Clubsport unless maybe you go for the black pack. I think on the Edition 50 maybe that will be standard without the Performance Pack. What is different is the rear diffuser is now a lot more aggressive than it used to be. I think that looks amazing. The bumper shape itself I think hasn't changed at all. The diffuser's just clipped in, so it's a good upgrade for an 8. We have got the new Volkswagen logo, GTI badge there, nothing different there. We have got more interesting rear lights though. So these are standard in the UK. The IQ light, it's actually just worth mentioning the headlights as well, because this car will have IQ light LED matrix headlights as standard for the UK market. That's an option still in Germany, and they are brilliant. Worth mentioning the wing, because this was standard on the Mark 8 Clubsport, standard on the 8.5. Some of the Performance Pack configurator descriptions infer this comes as part of the Performance Pack, but no, standard on the Clubsport. It was a Performance Pack option on the Golf R, and it remains that way with the 8.5. Red calipers as well, which are in Tornado Red. It's a good looking car. Tell me it's not. Let me know what you think in the comments. Right, let's have a look inside where things went a bit downhill with the Mark 8. Actually, just quickly mention, got the cameras there for the area view. It's going to be expensive to replace that, and there's also a camera down here. There must be one in the back as well somewhere. I think the rear badge pops up like it used to with just a rear view camera. The very disappointingly hollow sounding door continues, but things have got better in here. Now, it's very important to mention, when the Clubsport came out, it was really not very nice inside, but by 2023 they'd improved things. So originally this was like a horrible hop sack cloth, I suppose, not too dissimilar to that, and then they put the microfiber in, which they should have done in the first place. That was, I think, on the R, not on the Clubsport. The trim, I think, has changed. It's alright, it's got some texture to it, which is good. Flockline door bins, always nice. A bit of padding there as well. This was cloth as well on the original Clubsport, so that was nice. Also, they put GTI on the seats for the last Mark 8s, which should have been there before, I think, on a Clubsport. And then they put the piano black down here. Now, yes, this will scratch and get fingerprints, etc. But when you're looking at the car in the showroom, it looks more expensive than the matte black plastic did. Nothing's changed on the sills. They're still exposed, which is a real bug. And you can see there's some scuffs on here already. This plastic actually doesn't look too bad. It's just this is probably the worst bit of a 8.5. But, you know, because they've improved other things, you don't notice it so much. Carpet, it's not great. You can see there's just like, it's almost like it's worn already. But I don't think it's any better in the A3 or even RS3. The floor mats are nice though. Got a red stitch around the outside, and we've got stainless pedals, but a plastic dead pedal in the UK. And here are the seats. Now, this car's done 8,000 miles, probably hard miles with journos. There's a little bit of wear on there already, but it's not too bad. And these are great seats. They're called Art Velours, which was a very desirable option on 7.5. They're super comfy. They have got lumbar, but they're fully manual in their adjustment. They're a bit buckety, but they're not buckety in that they're uncomfortable. I mean, the bolsters aren't exactly big or hard for that matter. Right, let's get in because it's freezing out here. Okay, I think for a start this car looks better with everything lit up, so let's turn it on. Let's talk about the steering wheel then. So Volkswagen tried the haptic wheel, which was smooth black, and it illuminated when you turned it on, and then sometimes when you press the button it actually did what it should do. I kind of missed that for one thing. Sliding up and down on the volume was really cool actually, but this looks more expensive undoubtedly, and it works better, and it has a heated steering wheel button there that you probably won't turn on by mistake, but that's standard along with heated seats. If you want rear heated seats, then you have the winter pack, and it probably gives you something else as well. So that's new. That's pretty similar. Again, it's configurable, but you'll probably just go back to analog dials like most people do. That's quite cool though for track use, I suppose. And we have the big screen. So this is, I guess, the fifth change over the early cars. Mark 8s, that is. So yes, it's big, and yes, it's not very well integrated into the dash, but yes, it does work really, really well. And it doesn't impinge on the view. This is exactly my eyesight, and you can see it's below the line of the windscreen. Probably explains why you can't spec the bigger 15-inch screen you can get in the Tiguan, Tayron and Passat, because that would block the windscreen, but in this Golf it's big enough. And the beauty of that is the graphics are bigger, you can have more stuff on the screen, so you don't have to go into all the menus. But the most important thing, which was already there in Mark 8, is using the shortcuts. On those you had to slide down like on a phone. On this car you just press that button. It's not very obvious, but this is so important. And you can configure this really easily. If you press whichever one you want to get rid of, you can reset the trip or the shortcut. You can put in there that one, or that one, or that one, or whatever you want. I mean, there's not a massive selection, but the important things are there, and that means that there's no hunting in menus like the reviews used to say of the Mark 8, when you didn't really have to do that anyway, because that also had shortcuts. It's all there. So, for example, let's go back to the home page. Let's try and turn the ESC off. Press that, and press any of those. You do have to confirm it on the instrument cluster now, but that's probably just another nannying safety thing. Speaking of which, if you want to get rid of those, you just go into Assist Systems, and then you can just turn it off like that. There you go, done. Although I'd recommend keeping them on, because it might save your life, might save your license. But this screen is next level. In fact, it's beyond next level. It's even further level than the Mark 8 one. And it works reliably as well, which wasn't a given for the early cars. There's been no faults with this car during my ownership. I've actually not had any problems with Mark 8.5s apart from the cruise control reading the traffic signs wrong, but that's common to every brand because they can't control the road signs. So yeah, this is amazing. Climate wise, there's shortcuts there, but they've also got the pad here, which they probably could have removed because this does so much, but it would have meant a redesign of the dash, which they didn't want to do at this point in the model's life. Got wireless charging there, which does work well, and I do believe it's chilled. I'm putting my hands in there now, and it's really cold, so there is some sort of ventilation there. Blimey, that is cold. Bear in mind the climate's on 24. There is some ventilation there to stop your phone overheating, which was a big problem before. Stubby shifter hasn't changed. I prefer this. They've redesigned it in the A3 and I don't like it as much as this. Auto hold, you never need to touch the parking brake. This all works really well. Cup holder there, a bit more storage there. USB-Cs there, there's some in the back here, we'll have a look in a sec. Glove box, it's well damped, but it's not lined, which is a shame. And yeah, that's quite nice. Harman Kardon, so yeah, it's a 600 and something option, but it's worth it because it sounds great, but also it lifts the cabin quite a lot. It's a shame though these speakers aren't upgraded as well, because that's just the tweeter. They could have put a nice grill on there, but they didn't. That's a shame. But overall, in here, it doesn't feel too bad. If there's one thing putting me off spending 50 plus RRP anyway on an Edition 50, it would be that I'd get in it and the interior would jar, and I think it's okay. Spec'd with a few bits and pieces like Harman Kardon. I'll keep the engine running, and let's just have a quick look in the back. That's in my driving position. I've had the car now for 3 days. Okay, well, I'm 6 foot, 32-ish inside leg. There's a hollow in the seat, which makes it a lot easier because these seats are quite bulky. Storage there for stuff and bigger storage down there, but this sort of concave section here is perfect for your knees. I could probably go a bit further forward, to be honest. That's quite nice as well, having digital temperature gauge at the back for the rear passengers. Yeah, you don't see that very often. It's just a shame they've cheaped out on the vents, which are just black plastic compared to the nice metal ones there, and they've lost the damping feel those have got. They feel really nicely engineered. But yeah, headroom is great, and yeah, I'd be alright in here. They just need to get this a bit further forward, I think. Gets a bit claustrophobic. Door cards have been downgraded a bit, so we don't have the metal trim, but we do have Alcantara in the back, which that's quite good, and we do have blind door bins, so it's not actually been cheaped out too badly. It's just a shame they can't put the bloody trim on the back door. We've got these touch sensitive lights. I bought a car off a guy who had 23 Golf R, and he said that when he went over a pothole, these used to come on, but they did fix it under warranty. Black headlining for the sporty look in the Clubsport. In the boot then, open with the Volkswagen badge. There you go, a Golf boot, something 300 and something litres. A lot of space down there, taken up by the, not Dyne Audio, it's called Harman Kardon, even though it's probably the same thing. Subwoofer. Obviously you can fit a spare wheel in there. I'd highly recommend that. Now let's have a look under the bonnets. So I'll turn it off. I'll pop the bonnet, which is on the right side. Okay, so there is the EA888 Gen 4, 300 horsepower, 400 newton meters of torque. There was no upgrade in the power on these cars, and I don't think an awful lot was done dynamically because they seem to save that all for the Edition 50. But this is a great car dynamically anyway, as a Mark 8. So 8.5 is not going to be any worse. Yeah. Slightly disappointing is that with premium King's Red, you don't get an awful lot of it under the bonnet. If you have a white car, they seem to be painted more, which is ironic because that's the free colour, and that would actually probably bug me quite a lot. The engine cover is back. Now holding the bonnet up with my head. And instead of being squidgy like the Mark 8, it's hard. And what's also nice compared to 7.5 is they've repositioned the oil filler, which I'm sure was the bane of a lot of mechanics because it was tiny, it was at the back. They brought it forward and made it a bit bigger now. So that's good. Okay, so that's the Mark 8.5 Golf GTI Clubsport inside and out. A big question though is, does the Clubsport drive so well that your average driver driving on the road wouldn't need an Edition 50 with all the extra expense? Well, there's only one way to find out. We're going to take this car on my special test route, and on that route the GTI really does need to perform. and that special drive is to the west coast of Wales. So I've done this route in a number of cars, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a good test of a car. There will be some mountain roads for sure, but we've got to get there as well, so we've got to get on the motorway network and maybe get stuck in traffic on there. The car's got to do that comfortably to save you some mental energy to enjoy yourself when you get to Wales. The only slight problem today is that it's currently 3 degrees here in Warwickshire, and by the time we get to the mountains it could be hovering around freezing, so hopefully they've gritted. But we're on Goodyear Eagle F1 Super Sports, which work really well on a warm day. They work so well on track, but they're not so good in the cold, so we'll have to sort of bear that in mind. But the car does have a natural balance, unlike the front heavy RS3. We've got Waze looking after us, of course. So yeah, it should be educational and hopefully also a lot of fun. Okay, as suspected, we've hit some traffic just outside Birmingham on the M6, but being a modern car with all the latest features, it does make it quite easy to deal with traffic jams. For a start, we've got automatic gearbox, which is great. We've got adaptive cruise control, but on top of that, which we've had for a long time in the Golf, we've also got travel assist, which manages your distance from the car in front. It manages your lane as well, and if you stop, it will restart your car and drive you without you having to do anything, as long as the gap's not too long. And what that does is that it takes the stress out of driving, which means I'm going to have more mental energy that I can use on the good roads that are coming up. What's also interesting is that this car has traffic sign recognition disconnected from cruise control, which is a very good thing because it's misreading it more often than not on this car. So we've been through 50s, it thinks it's a 60. We've been through 70s, it thinks it's a 60. Some of the press cars have had it connected to cruise control, and it just accelerates and decelerates you incorrectly, which is a drag. We do have speed limit warning on this car, which I don't mind when it works, but more often than not it's telling you to slow down when you're actually not breaking the speed limit because it's misread the traffic sign. But anyway, overall, this is a very soothing and relaxing car to do this kind of journey in. It's about 2,000 RPM at 70 miles an hour, which is pretty relaxed, got 7-speed DSG. And the road noise is generally okay. On some surfaces it's a bit noisy, but on others it's pretty much silence. I think if you had the 18-inch wheels it would probably be a little bit quieter in that regard, but then they look really bad, so would I swap them for a bit more road noise? I think I would, particularly with the warmer hours we've got on this car. Right, let's go to Wales. Well, welcome finally to the B4391. Slight problem is that it's closed at some point, but on the plus side that means the bit that is open is dead quiet. I've been parked in a lay-by setting up the cameras for about 5 minutes, nothing has passed us. So it's one of the best roads and it's there to be enjoyed. 60 mile an hour speed limit, which is more than ample. So if you do come here, don't come here to speed, just come here to savour the corners and to just enjoy the open road and the scenery. It's a bit wet, but it's actually 9 degrees at the moment, which is good because normal summer performance tyres drop off at 7. Let's just pop it into ring mode, which should work well on this road. So let's just quickly do that. Go into sport and then that pops up. Now if you've got a Clubsport with DCC but without performance pack, can you tell me if you've got ring mode, because the configurator infers it comes with the performance pack, but I don't think that's the case. That wasn't the case with the Mark 8, but then there was no performance pack for the Mark 8. Anyway, I haven't scripted this at all. I'm just going to tell you how I feel driving this car. So we've got a decent amount of noise. I'm not sure if it's faked in ring mode. It probably is a bit, and it doesn't feel too big on these quite narrow roads. This is a particularly narrow bit actually. The gearbox, as ever, super slick. It's very rare that it doesn't want to give you a gear. You know, it can even get second. Now, the brakes, perfect. Bit of scrabble out there. VAQ doing its best in these conditions. Oh, just hit the speed limit there, but we need to brake straight away. Second gear for this one. Occasional pop and bang that's not particularly tuneful, probably a little bit quieter in that regard than the Mark 8. So onto the brakes over this crest with the swings to the left. Advisory speed limit of 20 here. Wow. But don't get distracted by the scenery, because there's a lot to concentrate on. The road's still open at this point. Up to 60. The road surface is pretty good. It's not a particularly big test of damping just yet. You always feel like you've got a bit of reserve with this car when you come over a brow and find the road swinging to the left, just like it does at the Nürburgring. It doesn't feel too edgy around this corner. Traction excellent, up to 60. Standing water, didn't even feel that. Onto the brakes, don't really know what's around this corner. Pick a higher gear just to give you a bit more control. And that just reminded me, we have fully manual shifting. Okay, maybe a good test of damping coming up then. So we've got a crest here, and then down, yeah, it feels superb. Obviously a sharp bend here because we've got a big black and white sign. Just happy to deploy all the power even in these conditions. It just feels incredible. I can tell you this car will lift off oversteer because it did it on me earlier, so it's a very neutral balance. I drove this route not long ago in an RS3 in similar conditions, and it really did not feel as happy as this car. This just feels like a very well set up neutral car, no gimmickry, just a proper hot hatch. Yeah, I think that was enough to make me realise this is a fantastic car to drive. It's not as good as the Clubsport S, and there's definitely room for a bit of an improvement here and there with the Edition 50, but I want to do that all over again.
You've arrived. Destination is on your left.
Well, welcome to the end of our Wales road trip. We have literally run out of road. We're on Black Rock Sands near Porthmadog, which is a great destination. It's been brilliant driving through the mountains, but it's even better when you know that you're going to come here and see this amazing scenery. So at the beginning of the video, I considered whether the Clubsport was actually sufficiently proficient dynamically to make the Edition 50 for most people irrelevant, particularly with its even heftier asking price. And the B4391 is the road to work that out on. And the answer is maybe not. I've driven my Clubsport S on this road. There was a video back in, I think, April or May of 2025, and I think it felt nicer than this. And if the Edition 50 can bring some of the Clubsport S to the party, then I think there is room for it in my life. But you have to be a certain kind of driver, driving on certain kind of roads to make the most of that. And for most people, the Clubsport is a fantastic car dynamically. It's got a bit of a traction issue this time of year, but genuinely put all season tyres on it for the autumn winter and you'll have a great time. It's a little bit edgier than I'd like on these Goodyears, which are fantastic on a warm day and on track. They can't do everything. They can't work on a fast UK circuit in the heat and do 3 degrees in the mountains, but they've still been pretty good. But the key thing is that this car feels very balanced dynamically. It's not so dependent on its tyres like, say, an RS3, which I drove on that road. So yeah, go out there now. If you want one, you'll find some deals on these cars, whether it's new or second-hand, and you won't be missing out an awful lot when I make videos on my Edition 50 in 2026. Well, that's hopefully the way it will go, but who knows. Anyway, as ever guys, thanks for watching this Volkswagen video. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, and I'll see you for the next one very soon.